Welcome to Gregorian chat.
La 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 la! Hi!
Welcome.
Episode 37.
You can share it like one word at a time.
Anyway, welcome.
It's right. It's episode 37.
Episode 37.
Cracking on to the 40s.
Yeah. I'm just about to get into my late 20s and we're already cracking into the 40s.
It's pretty nuts. Anyway, you know by now that you hate this first section where we just talk about random stuff.
So you can just fast forward if you want.
Well, yeah. So the name of today's podcast
Is.
Should I marry the person I'm dating?
That's the question. Should I marry the person I'm dating?
Maybe do I have to marry the person I'm dating?
Yeah, I think that's better. Do I have
The
to?
title of today's podcast is Do I have to marry the person I'm dating?
Yes. And I think it's a question that everyone's asking, really. Especially people that are dating.
Yeah, not people who are married. They shouldn't be asking that, but
Should I have dated the person I married?
should I just marry them straight away?
Yeah. I mean, that's essentially what I did. But anyway. We have a delicious tea.
What is it, Dom?
It is mulberry raspberry. It's a new bunch of teas going around the T2 sector.
Is it like a special edition?
I don't think it's special edition. I think it's just a new group of teas.
Is that right?
And yeah, I got this cool mug. Right, see this?
Hey, I got a cool one too.
Mine gets better though. Watch this. Ready? As you pour it in,
You drip it and burn your co-host.
it should be changing colour any time now. But it hasn't. Oh well. Slowly but surely, it changes
my
colour.
gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, I see. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited for the new Star Wars. I got half a glass. It smells really good too. It smells like Hubba Bubba. Strawberry. Anyway, I'm excited for the new Star Wars movie that's going to be coming out in Christmas.
Yes.
A few people, Marina Malone.
Not naming any names.
I'm not looking forward to it.
No, he
particularly.
thinks
I mean, he has fair enough reasons. But anyway,
Yeah.
I also have something else that I want you to try, Dom. Well, maybe first I'll just show a book that I bought today. I've been doing a lot of thinking about Lord of the Rings.
All right.
I didn't quite realise how spiritual it was until I found this book.
Mary in God.
Yeah, and I was like, I had no idea that Mary was such a man of faith. And so, I mean, apparently was. So anyway, I'll leave this here for you to read.
Thanks.
The other thing is, I bought you some Dutch salted licorice that I just want you to try because I know you'll probably love it.
I've already seen some people's reactions to this.
What?
But I'm going to do it anyway. Here you go.
Just tell me what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're tasting right now.
It's salty. Oh. It's changing. It's stuck to my teeth now.
Yeah, it's very chewy. It is. It's so salty. The bag kind of smells like vomit, but I love it. Anyway,
I have to eat this thing now. I mean, it's not that
well,
bad.
you could spit it out
I've
onto
had
your
worse things.
dining room floor.
Mm.
Anyway, so the topic is, pardon me, do I have to marry the person I'm dating? Where would you even start with a question like this, Dom?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of things going on here.
Well, maybe it's like, why are we even asking this question?
I'm just going to take this thing in my mouth.
It's pretty much the reaction I was hoping for. But... Drink some tea.
I'm going to drink some tea. Swig it down.
So where would we start? Do I have to marry the person I'm dating?
Well, I mean, typically, if you can go to like Catholic Church teaching, definitely getting vomit now. Anyway, I mean, you sometimes it's a bit harsh because sometimes you look at Catholic Church teaching and it's kind of like, no, there is no provision for dating. It's like there's married life and there's single life, and that's it. And we look into like Old Testament and stuff like that, and there's betrothal. There's a pre-married part where you're definitely going to get married, and you're pretty much living together. You're just waiting for the ceremony.
It's kind of like engagement.
Yeah.
Almost like a modern day engagement.
Yeah, and like even like in the I reckon like the 50s and stuff, like there was a lot more marriage proposals because there was a greater understanding of the importance of marriage. Like you're not going to be able to just sleep around or just date. There's a lot more intention going into it. But I think that's another thing we need to bear in mind. It's like as Christians we're called to do everything intentionally.
To be honest, like I don't mind people sleeping together before they're married. It's what they do when they're not sleeping that concerns me. I'm kidding.
It's touchy ground.
Oh. Anyway, yeah, no, so you're right. So it's kind of like where is the room? Like what are the different stages you could be in? And often you find it can go to two extremes when you think of Christian approach to dating. Mm-hmm. It's like, what is it for? Who do I date?
Yeah.
To what end? You know.
Yes.
And so you hear a lot of Christians on one end who say, well, you know, I'm just dating a girl, and it's like, oh, really? You know, is it serious? You're like, well, no, we've just been dating around. You know, we kind of gone for a few dinners, and you know, and then you get people on the other side who are like, it's like, you know, are you dating someone? They're like, oh no, I'm not ready to get married, so I'm not dating. And I think, I mean, I don't know if I'd say both are valid views, but at either end you can get into extremes, and certainly what we see a lot of Christians, I think, pushing away from now is that whole idea that, well, no, I'm not dating because I'm not ready for marriage.
But I think in that mentality, we're kind of putting marriage on a pedestal. Like the married life is this like exceptional, like ethereal way of living that is like
the summit that you must reach.
Yeah, it's so far beyond me. I can't even think about that. So then it's like, oh, I like this person. It's like, but I can't get to marriage. So we'll just date, and if marriage happens, like you hear like, when you say to someone like, "Would you like to get married?" Like, oh yeah, one day, yeah, maybe, yeah, well, sometime in the future. It's like, you know, it's like it's always put off. It's always tomorrow. Like it's always another day. It's always later in my life. But like I think we need to bring marriage back down to earth a bit. It's like it's just something that, you know, non-ordained people, that's their vocation. It's like you either go into the holy orders. Yeah. A religious vocation or married life. It's just a way of life, you know.
And I think people, I guess what you're saying is like there's a certain kind of threshold, and that is your marriage ceremony, and people see that as like once we go through the ceremony, we are married, and before then we have not been any kind of married, you know.
Right.
But it's like actually even from with the person that you end up marrying, I guess in a sense, your first date was the beginning of what then became your marriage, right?
Yes.
And then I'll get into this soon, because it's a bit dodgy ground. But in a sense, it's like you've been working towards that marriage ever since the day that begun. Now, the problem with this kind of mentality, and that mentality is useful for thinking, okay, marriage isn't just this unattainable thing that just happens when, you know, then it's something that you actually, you sacramentalize it for sure. But I guess so the danger there is like, people who say, okay, well, I'd only date someone that I want to marry, or that I'm ready to marry now.
Yeah.
And what that can do is turn your first date, and potentially your second and third and fourth date, into this like tick box interview for marriage.
Yes.
And I know Sam Brebner is you know, very enthusiastic about this topic, but and he could speak on it probably a lot better than I could.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, and like, you know, there is that saying that goes around, is like, if you're not dating to get married, you're dating to break up. And I mean, it's very true, but it kind of, like, again, it's one of those things it's hard to hear, harsh to say, and it's very black and white. Because like you were saying, like that first, you know, once you're married, you look back at that first date and think, actually, that was the beginning. Yeah. Of our journey towards here. Yeah. Like I remember,
but it can only be done in retrospect.
Yes, it can only be done in retrospect, and so like, you know, don't put so much pressure on yourselves when like thinking about dating. It's like, I like this guy or I like this girl, and I want to get to know them better. I mean, Jess and I, we when I was doing my visa to come over here to partnership, it's like, when did you start dating? And we had to like actually think, when did we start dating? I mean, we were in a very different, weird situation, but we nailed it down to a certain point. It's like, okay, at that point, we were no longer just hanging out as friends. But we had to do that retrospectively. At the time, we didn't think about it, but we did think of it that way. So yeah, I mean, something that is helpful, a bit more concrete, if we go to my good old mate Aristotle. He talks about relationships, and there's 3 types of relationships he talks about. Relationships of utility, relationships of pleasure, and relationships of virtue. So, you know a bit about this, Dom. Can you tell me a bit about these things?
Way to throw that on me. Yeah, so, well, Brendan Malone actually spoke about this recently at the First Theology of the Body conference in New Zealand, which we attended. So basically, Aristotle's point was, yeah, we have these three kinds of relationships, three modes, if you like. None of them are bad, you know? In fact, they're all kind of necessary, because if every relationship that we had was only of one kind in this graph of three, there'd be a problem with your lifestyle, I think. So the first one, you've got your relationship of utilities. This is basically just means you and another person both have something to give to each other. And utility just meaning like, you know, I've got nails and I sell nails, and you've got bread and you sell bread. Now I need bread and you need nails to live. So, well, let's do an exchange. Yeah. That's a relationship.
Yeah. We use each other.
In the best way possible. To meet an end, okay?
Yeah. So like a checkout person, you talk to them, but only because they're at the checkout. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's where your relationship starts and ends.
Yep. And the second one is a relationship of pleasure. So that's when you actually have a relationship with somebody, not just because they give you something, and perhaps not even, but they might not give you anything except pleasure, like a good time. And when we say pleasure, we're not just talking about sexual pleasure, obviously, or even emotional pleasure.
Just enjoying being with somebody.
That's right.
So like me and Dom, we have a pleasurable relationship. We pleasure each other when we hang out with each other.
Yeah, that's right.
It is a pleasure to hang out with him.
It is a pleasure. And I hope that we have something of a relationship of virtue too. But anyway, so yeah. Okay, that's all we need to say on a relationship of pleasure.
But like, yeah, so it's like it is
out.
deeper than utility.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't just come to see Dom because I need his nails. I bought nails off him for like many years and thought, actually, why don't you come and hang out with me? Turns out we've got a lot in common. We started a podcast together.
Yeah, and we got hammered.
Yeah. Anyway,
and the last relationship is a relationship of virtue, from the Greek word virtue. And so basically, this goes beyond just a relationship of pleasure. Now, an example could be that of somebody who's married, but also even just parents. You know, like with their children. Okay, sure, there might be times of joy when you have a child, but on the whole, it's really a relationship of virtue. The parents are trying to encourage the children to act virtuously, righteously, in a good way, and vice versa. Like children should be trying to get their parents to do the same thing. And there's a higher calling there. It's a realization that together, what we need to be doing is actually using our relationships to influence people and be influenced by people in a way that will get them to heaven.
Yeah, and I think, something to bear in mind is like, as humans, sometimes they're like, okay, so there's 3 stages. Which stage am I in? And now that stage end is here. And like, but these things are all like, sometimes Dom has something that I need, so I go to him, and that's the utility part of our relationship. Yeah. Sometimes we just hang out and have a good laugh. But sometimes, he'll do something, and I'll be like, bro, that's not on. Yeah. And that's the calling to that virtue. So we all living this cycle of,
that's right,
relationship.
So, Dom, my question is, where does dating fall on this tier of 3?
Well, I would say dating is securely within the second, the pleasure element of.
Okay. Do you think it stays there for the entire course of?
Well, in that, I think this brings me to a point of like this idea of the friend zone.
Let's talk about the friend zone.
It's a good thing. Like, it's been like online, it's been like, oh no, she put me in the friend zone. I'm never gonna date her. It's like, well, good. Just be friends with her, for crying out loud, or him. And it's kind of like that's where we should go, because the person that we marry should be our friend. And it's like
fundamentally, yeah.
We need to look at what marriage is in sort of like marriage is a furthering of a relationship, rather than kind of like, okay, I select you and we'll be married in the morning. And this is like, and then we'll be married, and marriage will be great because you're ticking all the boxes.
Times. Yeah.
And Giselle. Anyway, you've seen Enchanted?
No.
No, you need to see it. It's a good movie.
Anyway,
moving on. So, so we need to be in that friendship zone and grow in that friendship zone so that we can actually grow to the point of virtue. Now, you do call your friends out and you do bring them to the point of virtue, but I'd say that like marriage is more in the level of virtue in a more intense stage, because you are entering into a different area of life with them, i.e. living in the same place, sharing a bed,
for sure,
and all these things, cooking, serving for one another.
So there are elements of all three, I think, in a marriage. Now, getting more to the topic here, which is like, do you have to marry the person that you're dating? Well, it's like, okay, well, what is dating then? Ultimately, for a Christian, I think it's safe to say the purpose of dating, ultimately, is marriage. Okay? Now, what you've done is you say, oh, I really like this person. I think, for whatever reasons, I'm going to start spending more time with them. And what happens is you actually start investing yourself in that person. Now, this may not actually happen, and in fact, it probably shouldn't really happen on a first date. And this is what I guess we should make clear, is it's like, we need to take a bit of pressure off dating. And I think, especially for young Catholics, there's a lot of pressure out there, and people think, oh, I've heard all these talks about how dating should be, up to this standard. And I it's really a lot of pressure, so I'm just not going to date, because I can't do that right now.
That makes sense.
And I think, it's like we actually need more young people to be dating, and dating well. So I'm not saying just go out there and just date, just be reckless about it. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying get informed, and then if you feel like you're ready to date, and there are a few things which you should kind of, I think, practically have in line, as in, I think, like, ultimately and ideally, you should start dating when marriage is at least on the horizon.
Yeah.
If you've just started uni, you're 18, and you're like, I don't actually know what my career is going to be yet.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's probably not a good idea to get in a relationship, because,
yeah,
you're going to get pulled different ways.
Yeah, because that's bearing in mind is like also what dating is not. Things that we're told about happens in dating is like, let you and me, let's go on a date, let's watch a movie together, let's kiss, let's cuddle, let's buy each other gifts and have anniversaries, and it's like, those things are nice, but what are you saying to the person you're dating in that sense? It's all like, we're already married. Let's live a married life, and then one day we'll get married.
Yeah.
And that's not what dating's for. Dating is about learning who you are and learning who they are. And one thing that I always tell people is like, don't be afraid to let a relationship end. It's like, sometimes they have a natural progression. It's like, trying to just talking to someone at the checkout and saying, let's go for a coffee. It's like, no, it's like, that's weird, because you've just got the utility. You barely don't even know each other's names.
Yeah.
They probably spelt it wrong on your coffee cup.
And that's how you get creepers.
Yeah, and so you wouldn't do that to someone over a checkout. So why would you immediately, someone that you've decided is more than more than utility, let's just take you straight to marriage?
Even like just because you met them, in a Catholic setting, or
Yeah.
they might not even be the person that you think they are. Now, in saying that, there are good places and bad places to find somebody to date, and this is not like a foolproof like manual or anything. But I would say, if you're young and you're Catholic and you want to meet a young Catholic, or if you're young and you're Christian, you want to meet a young Christian, where should you look? Well,
church.
The first place shouldn't be, the bar. Well, that's my ideal, because that's what they do in songs. It's like, well, you can save yourself a lot of time and a lot of hassle, I think, and a lot of grief, just by saying, okay, well, I'm going to be smart about this. I'm going to be sensible about this, and think, okay, well, a lot of the young girls I meet at church are quite lovely.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's say you're getting a bit older and you kind of think, there is no one. There is no one out there. I've tried asking every guy at my parish. It's like, well, go to a different parish.
Yeah. But then once you got into that dating stage, it's all like, okay, you found someone at a different parish, and it's like, yeah, okay, let's go out for a coffee. To get to know you better. So then maybe we can move from like deeper into like a pleasure kind of relationship, and maybe even to a virtue one. But don't tie yourself down to this like okay, we've gone out for coffee. That means we're dating. We're gonna have to get married now. It's like, but so let the relationship be what it is. And if it seems to be coming to an end, it's like, actually, we're not on the same page. And it's sad sometimes, because it could have taken a couple of months to get a point. Yeah. But like, let the relationship end or let it continue, and that would be into marriage, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was listening to something. We'll just keep going through that. Bishop Robert Barron was saying about marriage, and he was saying a lot of young Catholics young people come and they say, I want to have a Catholic wedding, and he goes, okay, great, that's amazing, good for you. Why do you want to have a Catholic wedding? And they say, well, because we love each other. It's like, okay, well, that's probably a good reason to get married.
Yes.
But that's not necessarily a good reason to have a Catholic marriage or Catholic wedding.
Yeah, because it's a calling to make each other saints.
Exactly.
Which, making a saint, which, again, it can be quite an intense thing. It's sort of like, oh, so I have to, now you're expecting me to be a saint, and I have to make you a saint. So again, it's pushing up to that kind of like, over spiritualized, ethereal level, but it's not that. I mean, again, saints were just people, you know, and they became saints through engaging with something higher than themselves, which I think is the point that you were getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I guess you say a joint venture in bringing each other, you know, to the altar. You're saying, okay, well, we're doing this because ideally we want to bring each other to the altar of God one day.
Yes.
You know, before God sitting on the throne.
Yes.
And, you know, like, as I'm saying this, I'm realizing, you know, oh, okay, so we're getting into that territory of like, well, this is marriage. It's like, whoa, that's overwhelming. I can't do that. But the thing is, like, that's not where you start. Like, you learn this stuff in marriage prep, you know?
Yeah.
Or it starts to become real in marriage prep. You can have the head knowledge, but don't let that overwhelm you, I guess is what I'm saying.
And I think the thing is like, essentially, where, like, you know, as everything with, like, in Catholicism, there's a bit of an oxymoron. It's sort of like, how do I date someone else better? Well, first I work on myself. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's what Dom was saying earlier. Is like, if you're in university, and you're like, I don't know what my career path is going to be. I don't know what I'm studying. I don't know what I want to do. It's like, then why are you saying let's start a relationship? Because that could, you know, you could move to Nicaragua and find mission work appealing to you, and then that would just tear that relationship apart.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's like, and making a saint of somebody else has to first come from making a saint of yourself. Mm-hmm. So it's like, this is where I'm going. I'm going to heaven. I'm going to church. I'm going to meet God. And you're going to come with me? Okay, let's go together. Let's do this together. It's because I'm not strong enough. So let's go this path together. And that's what marriage is. Yep.
And so I guess wondering about some practical points for all those who are thinking, you know, do I have to marry the person I'm dating? Well, it's like, I guess the short answer is not necessarily.
No.
You might be going through kind of a change of heart and thinking, okay, well, I started a relationship with this person, but, you know, think about it, we don't really share any of the same virtues, the same, the same views on things, I should say. Yeah. And when we're around each other, we don't bring out the best in each other. We don't lead each other to God, and we don't lead others to God in our relationship. And so I think things like that are a pretty huge indicator that, you know, this is something that you should discontinue. And as you said before, like, don't be afraid for a relationship to end. Yeah. Often we can think, you know, that you've met the perfect person, but it's not sometimes until someone else points out to you something you're like, oh, okay. Or like over time you get to see some of the differences. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, let the relationship take its course. Work on your relationship with God, and that will be very informative, because God, you know, in you working with God, God will work with you, and He's got something in mind for you. And it may be marriage. It might be the priesthood. Right. It might be just being a missionary in Africa, like Kisses for Katie. It's a great book, read it. And this girl just went out to Africa and became a foster mum. And it's like, that was a calling on her heart. And if she was so focused on trying to have a relationship and, you know, doing all like the gifts and the anniversaries and the cuddles, and it's like, then, you know, she might have missed out on this beautiful life that she's lived. So work on your relationship with God. Don't worry about the relationship ending, because that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Absolutely. One more thing I'd say, in terms of like, altogether we're trying to make this Catholic culture of dating a bit better, right? I'd say one huge thing we can do is to stop this like kind of teasing culture of like, oh, you like that, you know, you like that guy, or you know, I see you hanging out with him a lot. Because I mean, I'm super guilty of doing this, but anyway, it's like I've realized, you know, that really doesn't help relationships to foster relationships, because people then get stage fright, they get, you know. So I guess I'd say, like, if you're going to talk to people about relationships, do it out of genuine concern and interest in them, you know.
But and ask questions because you're interested, rather than because you like teasing them.
And because you want the best for those people.
So don't worry for the relationship to end. Work out the path that God has for you, and don't tease people when you think they like each other. Dom.
I'm super guilty, I'm a matchmaker. Anyway, thanks for joining us. What did you think of the tea?
I couldn't taste it because I had vomit taste in my mouth. Thanks, man. Thanks.
Try some some mulberry and raspberry. Also, we have Gregorian snaps, which is like a brand new initiative. We're going to be posting a video next week, I think.
Stay tuned.
It's good. It's epic. It's pretty. It's good.
Okay. Thank you very much for watching.
Kia ora.
God bless. Hey guys, thanks for watching the podcast. I've got good news. It just got a whole lot easier to search for us online.
All you got to do is search Gregorian Chat into YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, and Player FM for those who are on Android.
Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. See you later. God bless.